why don't we talk to the guy who's going to be the bearer of the best news in the city, the one team that doesn't seem to be able to win at the beginning, in at least in the last week.
Keith.
Keith Pompey from the Inquirer is here to join us and tell us why it's going to get better.
I think right now, when you look at the 76ers, they played the two best teams in the East right now. I mean, I understand that those teams are undermanned. So, the showings weren't that good when you consider that, right? But at the same time, I think that, this is a tough test for 7 games for them. And then after that, it's going to get a little bit easier. I mean, let's be real. The Sixers aren't like the favorite to win a championship. They're probably third or number 4 in the East. I think that those two teams that they played right now, these are good barometer games, and you have 80 games left to see what you can do. Now, if come January and we're still seeing these same problems, then we really have a problem. But right now, you just look at it and you can say, look, this is what you need to do. They still have an open roster spot. So I think that they're not going to have an open roster spot by season's end. So, I just think that it's still early and things could get better.
Well, of course, it's early, but my concern is not necessarily even that what the open roster spot is. My concern is that everybody seems to be standing around now and watching James Harden. Max, he doesn't seem to be getting the ball as much and is just kind of standing off the one side. And Embiid doesn't seem to, you wrote a story today about how Embiid doesn't seem to be going down in the block again. And what's the story let's start with Embiid. Why is he not going in the block again?
It's funny, like today it comes out, they had practice and Doc mentions a minor foot injury and that messed up his conditioning. The only thing is I don't like is that the fact that it came out the morning or afternoon after Embiid's getting criticized for, bad body language, for when he doesn't want to speak to the media, when, it seems like it makes you think that you're using this as an excuse so people don't turn on him. I think that right now, when you look at Joel Embiid's role, it's different. Before he was a ball dominant big man. He got the ball. He had as many touches as he wants. And now, like you said, you got a guy like James Harden who's extremely ball dominant and people watch. And I think that, if Joel Embiid is going to be honest with everyone, he's probably going to say he's getting a little frustrated with his role a little bit. Like he wants the ball. He wants to touch it. Now, again, it's probably publicly one of those things where everyone's going to deny it and say everything's great. But to me, that's what it looks like is, how are we going to work this thing out? Another thing is when you look at this offense, the way it's being ran with Joel, they want Joel to do pick and rolls. Joel looks awkward doing that. He looks like he's never done that before, like roll into a basket. The spacing is non-existent because it looks more like he's trailing James Harden, waiting for him to just toss it to him. So I think that, either they're going to abort that tactic or they're just going to have to work on it hard. They're going to have to get it right because it looks bad. Maxey, we talk about Maxey. I think the thing with Maxey is like, he needs the ball in his hands as well. He needs the ball in his hands. He needs to, do what they wanted Ben Simmons to do, get and turn the game into a track meet, make it ugly, go in there and get layups, do things like that, transition 3-pointers. But when you have, when you're like in a half court set, it kind of takes away a lot of his explosiveness. You got 4 guys already behind you or in front of you, and you're trying to maneuver. And I think that those are the 2 main problems that the Sixers are having thus far.
We look at it as a problem, but also the good side is that Harden has looked good. He's averaging 33 points, shooting almost 60%. He had a game high 31 the other night. In your mailbag, somebody asked you, and you wrote, "This is becoming James Harden's team," but that wasn't a knock at Joel Embiid. Can you talk about the transition and the personalities on this team?
Yeah, and what I mean, because when you look at a guy like James Harden, he's a bachelor. He's a guy like that. He basically he's the type of dude that he wants everyone around. He wants to do team functions. He wants them like Kevin Hart had a concert, a comedy thing, and James and all the majority of the players were there. I mean, at that in the picture that I saw, there were 20 guys in training camp at that time. 18 of them were there. Joel Embiid wasn't there. And the thing about Joel Embiid is, if you know Joel, he's kind of sort of like a homebody. He's the type of guy who likes playing, being around his son and being with his fiance. For him, that is the perfect evening, being with his fiance and being around his kid. So, but the thing is, so when you look at a guy like James, he not only is he organizing the stuff, he's often paying for the stuff. So you get these guys, and a lot of them, I mean, I wish I could say making $1.7 million wasn't a lot of money.
Just 1.7.
Yeah, with just 1.7. But when you have a guy who's making what James is and he's taking care of everything, yeah, he's gonna be a leader. Another thing that he does is when they're at practice and they're doing a rep and he doesn't like that rep, he does not like the tempo, he'll stop practice and demand that they do it over again. He will. He's that guy, and he's always yelling encouraging words. He's doing a lot of different things. So for when you say that, Joel Embiid is going to be a leader because he leads by example. He's the best player. James Harden is a leader because he's demanding stuff from teammates. He's being the vocal leader, but also he's making sure that they get together off the court and do things.
All I heard is you were saying that was how James Harden's paying for everything, and you still owe me a Michelob Ultra or two.
Okay, all right.
So I don't know what's going on. I guess you're not making as much as I thought you were.
I'm making hot nickels. Hot nickels, they're hot too. You got to melt them down.
So with those hot nickels, you're going to these games and you see. Look, I understand what you're saying, that they played the two best teams. You got to beat the best teams if you want to be the best teams. And Embiid comes out in the second half and goes, 0 for 7? How does that happen when he's playing inside? I saw him getting squared up with Grayson Allen at times. What is Joel Embiid doing? Am I missing something that he just doesn't seem to be in sync with everybody else?
To me, it looked to me that he wasn't mentally engaged in the second half. I mean, because if you looked at it, like you said, he had Grayson Allen. I don't remember if Grayson was guarding him on this play or not, but there was one play where he drives the lane, and basically any other year he would have taken it out. And instead of that, taking it up, but instead of that, he zips a pass to Tyrese Maxey at the 3, and the ball goes off of Maxey's fingertips. However, the ref said it went off someone else and it saved it. So I just feel like that, he missed a couple shots. The crowd was booing a little bit. I just felt like he wasn't mentally in this state of mind that he normally is in. I just felt that way, that he just wasn't. I think that, again, this is something new. Last year James came in. They were trying to assimilate James, but now I think they're trying to get them to meet in the middle a little bit. And sometimes it's kind of hard. It's like you're used to doing something one way, and then all of a sudden, and you're having success doing it that way, and then all of a sudden you want to switch up things. And I think it's going to be one of those things where it's just going to take a little bit.
Wait, but you said something a little troubling to me. All we've heard, especially with the Phillies for the last week, is how the Philly fans are building up this team and giving them confidence, and they're feeding off of that. This was the home opener against the Milwaukee Bucks. How is Joel Embiid not feeling it?
I mean, I don't know. I think, if, this isn't the first time that I've seen Joel this way. I mean, it's just not. I mean, we've seen it before. I feel like when you're the the two-time runner-up for the MVP and everything is fed off of you, and then you have to adjust the plan with a new style. See, there's a point in time when he knew he was going to get the ball. He knew he was going to get X amount of touches. So there was times where when they were at their best, they ran the offense through him, and then he was the quarterback on the gym, feeding different teammates, either dribble handoffs or guys at the 3-point line, right? Now all of a sudden you don't know you're getting the ball, and you got to play off another player, and it's kind of sort of, I hate to say it, it's kind of like, and I'm not comparing them to this, but it's kind of like Michael Jordan, and you say, okay, Mike, you're going to a different team, but now all of a sudden you got to be the second fiddle and do this. It takes some adjusting to do it. Now, although they are saying he's still the first fiddle, but James Harden is the one averaging 33 points. James Harden is the one who is extremely ball dominant and always has the ball in his hands. So I feel like with Joel, it's like there's some uncertainty. Before, he knew he was going to get it. And then in the fourth quarter, it was a matter of, let me take over this game and win it. Now it's like, am I going to get the ball or not? So I think they're just trying to go through this adjustment phase.
While they're going through the adjustment phase, I know they got a lot of new players, but that's led to some defensive struggles and lapses. They're allowing some wide open three-pointers, frankly, mostly wide open. The Celtics and Bucks combined to attempt 77 threes, making 25. They were lucky that Milwaukee only hit 13 of 42. They'd been blown out of the gym. Can you talk about the adjustments on defense and what this team's trying to figure out there?
Yeah, and that's crazy too, right? Because the way it is. And I think the problem that we have on the defensive end is, when we look at Tyrese Maxey and James Harden, we think of them as guys getting buckets. We don't talk about them being defenders, right? So it's a lot of, so what they want to do is, the Sixers are, their defense is predicated on switching and doing all this other stuff. So it takes a lot of communication. Everyone has to have their head on a swivel, because next thing you know, like, somebody's wide open. And as one of the players told me, was in the past, when you play, when you're doing this, you see a guy, like if you're a power forward, you see the opposing power forward or whoever it is, the guy you're guarding, you spot that person up and you just run towards him wherever he is. Well, he says, but while you're running towards that guy, you got to look back because there's somebody probably wide open and you got to switch off real quick. And I think the communication and lack thereof is leaving guys wide open. And another thing is, when we think about this, they came out there and they said they were going to get these defenders. But none of these defenders, perimeter defenders, are in the starting lineup. You have Joel Embiid and you have PJ Tucker, right? PJ Tucker is 37 years old. He's 6'5", but he's more like in the mode of a power forward. But you want him to run out there and guard these 3-point making guys. So, or Tobias Harris. So I feel like, that's the problem that they're having right now, is that, you want to stagger things, but at the same time, when you look at the starting lineup, it's kind of sort of like, you're basically giving the other team a head start. Like, okay, we know you're going to get some threes early on, but don't worry, we're going to bring our guys in at the 6-minute mark, and we're going to try to like stop the bleeding a little bit.
Well, one of the guys that you don't see coming in the game is Matisse Thybulle. Is his time done here?
I'm starting to think it is. I mean, it has to be, because, the thing about it is like, you go from playing 23 seconds one game to 7 seconds the next. It's like, it's okay. Well, it's the end of the quarter. We're going to do offense, defense. Come on in. And it's kind of sort of like yesterday when he came in and played for, a quick like play. Like, as soon as the buzzer sounded, like, he knew he was out. Like, he basically, normally guys go and they walk to the bench, and it's kind of like, but they're near like the bench area where everybody's seated at, and they're hovering and they're surrounding them. Nah, he walked to the end of the bench, like knowing like, okay, I just went in for spot duty. I think, yeah, when you do that, it not only or is that a sign that you're done? You could be done, but it's also a sign that, um, it's also like something that's really disheartening. Like, like Joel, we're saying Joel doesn't know his role. To me, if you're playing 23 seconds, 7 seconds, you really don't know your role. Now, again, if they continue to give up as many threes as they are, the Sixers are not going to have any choice but to play Matisse Thybulle. Now, if you really want to trade Matisse Thybulle, it's hard to trade a guy when he's only played 30 seconds combined of action in 2 games. Like, what
Well,
are you going to give?
he's fresh.
Yeah, but man, I mean, I was like, look, dude, I'll give you 3 G leaguers and and $20,000 or $200,000. Come on, man. Like, no.
And Doc has stressed that the rotation remains fluid, but you can see, at least from these first couple games, guys that have been here, they ain't getting the run. Shake Milton, not getting in. Furkan Korkmaz, not getting in. Matisse Thybulle, not getting in. It seems like they're going to Montrezl Harrell over Paul Reed when they're looking for the backup center. And then you've got House and Melton seem to be the guys that they're turning to off the bench. Is that what this rotation is shaping up like? The
Yeah.
guys that have been here just can they do have a role. It's at the end of the bench at this point.
Yeah, yeah. You know what Doc is doing? Doc's being lawyered up. Excuse me for the saying, but that's what he's doing.
Hey.
Like what he's
You have to take
doing
offense to that, Keith.
Oh, he does. Oh,
That's why he said it. I know.
So anyway, so now what he's doing is one of those things where, Doc knows that if you say, okay, right now these guys are out of the rotation and I have these new guys, then that's a way of you can lose certain players. You know what I mean? Like, Shake Milton could say, look, dude, why did y'all bring me back? Why did you pick up that option? I could have been a free agent. I could have gone to maybe Oklahoma City, close to home, or going somewhere else where I know I was going to play. And then maybe take a 1-year deal or 2-year deal and then try to test the market elsewhere. Furkan Korkmaz, you said you were trying to trade me. Well, why didn't you trade me? The same thing for Matisse. Like, whoa, maybe Portland would have been great for me right about now. So what you do is you always say that it's fluid. We haven't decided. We got different guys, this and that. But I think that, what we saw the first 2 games is what we're going to see. The guys who are going to play a lot off the bench, at least right now until something changes, are going to be Daniel House Jr., DeAnthony Melton, George Niang, and then they're going to go with the backup centers, whoever's hot at times. But those are the guys. And then you might see Matisse sprinkled in for seconds. But outside of that, I mean, that's their rotation. They're going to have like a 9 to 10 man rotation. But the 3 guys who are definitely going to play are going to be George Niang, DeAnthony Melton, and Daniel House Jr.
All right. Well, we got 2 minutes left. The thing to talk about now is really who's hot, and who's hot, as far as we're concerned, is Saquon Barkley and the New York Giants.
I could care less.
So how are you feeling with the Giants being 5-1, and how you feeling that when they face the Eagles, they're going to be ready?
Wait, before that, they're underdogs this week.
And nobody asked you. We were talking.
They've been underdogs every week too, though.
They're a 5-1 team. How are they underdogs against the?
Well, you know how I'm feeling. Remember a couple times last time I was on here, Jeff was like, "Hey, I'll bet you the Giants win 6 games." I was like,
He was going off Kenny Pickett's hand size. I remember that.
Hey, I will bet you the Giants win at least 6 games this year.
Well, here's my thing, though. What I don't get, you two have been talking to me about how you've got like trash cans for offensive linemen. So how
we
you
do
this right now?
The Giants still do.
Like I told you after the first game, I thought what Brian Dable did to get buy-in was really important with how he approached that first game, and it seems like this team really bought into what your coach is doing there now.
Yeah, they have, and also they got Saquon too. I mean, Saquon is finally looking like Saquon that we thought he was going to be. And I think that helps out a lot. But yeah, the buy-in is there. I mean, it's one of those things where you look at teams and you say to yourself, there's no way they're going to win this game. And then they come back and they do the things like each one is like a miracle. Like it's something like, okay, they're going to lose this game because the guy's going to kick a field goal. Well, he missed the field goal. Or they're going to do this, So it's kind of like I like seeing stuff like that because that's a confident group. They play throughout the game. And some people might say they're lucky, but at the same time, when it happens, 5 weeks
It's more than luck.
It is not luck anymore.
Well, Keith, Jeff can say he's a Giants fan, but ask him where he was last Sunday night and what song got stuck in his head after going to that football game in Philadelphia last week.
Oh, really? You were singing "Die Eagles Die"?
I have a son who's an Eagles fan.
Okay.
I still have to be a good dad every once in a while.
Yeah, but you don't have to sing "Fly Eagles Fly" in your head the next day. Keith, we know you got to run on us. You have a good one, man. Thanks for always dropping in, and let's hope the Sixers play a little bit better after this early start.
Yeah, we'll see. But all right, thanks for having me, fellas.
Take it easy, man.
Peace.